In my screen, it's coming.
So what shall I do? Then I need to go. I need to go for an extempore on that case.
Sorry, sir.
But the presentation is not coming from my end only. Just wait for a minute. Just wait for a minute. Yeah, I do one thing. I just start with the lecture, and from here I just go on skipping the slides.
Yeah, you can do that. Good evening, everybody. It's a greatest opportunity for the web platform for dialogue to presenting our today's series speaker, Dr. Dwaipayan Sinha. He is a wonderful person in the field of botany. He is assistant professor, Department of Botany, Government General College in Bengal, and he is particularly expertised in the field of four area. He is PhD in botany with CSIR, Indian Institute of Technology Research, and enrolled in Lucknow University. His research specialization in different articles and papers have been published with the international peer-reviewed journal. So I welcome Dr. Sinha for today's talk on Ayurveda, a traditional approach in forthcoming human health since the antiquity. Yes, Sinha, Dr. Sinha, you can go ahead. Yeah, now you can go ahead with your presentation.
Yeah. Good evening. Thank you, Rachel, for information about the weather. But I fear still now my slide changing options are not viewable. So maybe I need to go for an extempore if the honorable moderator permits me to do so, or if she has the control of changing the slides on my behalf, that would be really fine. So may I, ma'am, start the presentation?
Yes, you can go ahead.
Hello.
But there is an audio issue from your end. We can't. Your voice is breaking.
Okay, just wait for a minute. Just let me. Okay, now is it possible? Is it audible?
Yes.
Hello?
Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
It's audible. Thank you so much. So I start off regarding fortifying human health is antiquity. What of Ayurveda is basically it is composed of two parts. One is Ayu, that means it's a Sanskrit word. Ayu, not appear and this science of life or Ayurveda is composed of three aspects. Basically, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. So the assemblages of the three composed of Ayurveda, and as per the concept, these three entities constitute the health, and that this health reflects by this happy life and sustainable happiness and longevity. Now, so what is Ayurveda actually? As the medicine and spirituality. So first of all, and the unified spiritual part, and thirdly, most important part, the medicinal aspects and.
So there is so many noise from your end. We can't able to hear you properly. Yes, audio is a big issue.
So I need to wait for 1 minute. I just disconnect the audio and reconnect.
No, don't do that. You just do one thing. You just switch off the video. So I think network will be good. I think network is a problem.
1 minute.
Yeah. You just switch
Now
off
is it
the
okay?
video. Switch off the video. I think it will be okay. Hello. Yeah, continue. I will let you know.
Hello.
Yeah. We can continue.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video is to stop. So shall I proceed?
Yeah, please proceed. Please proceed. Yeah.
Hello. Yeah. Now, what I was saying that there's the assemblage of three entities: the medicine, the religion, and the spirituality. And you know, this Ayurveda is basically a relationship between the microcosm and the macrocosm. So, what is microcosm? Microcosm is the smaller aspect, and the macrocosm is the larger aspect. That is, an unit is related to the entire universe. That is microcosm and macrocosm. And to be more appropriate, there is a microcosm macrocosm continuum in the concept of Ayurveda. So what is microcosm? There are 5 aspects in microcosm, that is smell, taste, vision, touch, and sound. And the macrocosm is earth, water, fire, air, and space. These are the 5 aspects of the ecology or ecosystem of the environment or the entire universe. And microcosm is the smell, taste, vision, touch, sound that we perceive in our human system, or that we're living in our human system, or any living being. So I'll now go about the origin of Ayurveda. So what does origin of the Ayurveda of life in respect to Ayurvedic concept? So this is very interesting. Way back in 2500 BC or 2500 years ago, or well above 1000 years, these Ayurvedic concepts directly predicted or directly stated about the present theory of molecular biology or the present biological theory. So what do they say? The origin of biological monomers. Maybe there are some people who are from different background. I'll try to just rationalize or try to make the thing more decipherable. So what happened during the origin of life? The origin of life came from a few atoms, and that constituted some molecules such as carbon dioxide, nitrogen, oxygen, water, and eventually ammonia, and then came proteins. So this is the thing that Ayurveda predicted way back in 2500 years ago. And from there, very interesting, it's written in Ayurveda that they're from monomers. Monomers means small molecules, and these small molecules are gradually polymerizing or uniting with one another to form a long chain of polymeric substances. That we call as polymer. Okay, so this is what that is stated in Ayurveda. So from biological monomers to biological polymers, and finally from those polymeric substance, that is a bigger molecule. From a bigger molecule, what we find? We find another entity that is very surprisingly self-duplicating. Once this concept is coming in the scenario, we find it as a life. What is life? Life is basically, in a very simplified concept, or in a simplified term, we can say anything that is self-duplicating. This is what the sage and rishis and these Ayurveda. So the fundamental dictum of Ayurveda is non-existence cannot give rise to existence. So you need to have the smaller things, then only we are getting the bigger one. So the smaller things are the monomers, and the bigger ones are the polymers. And these monomers, or the building block of life, are omnipresent everywhere in the universe. Now, life, as I said, it begins with some invisible components. And through the intermediary stages, we are getting
a visible component, that is the cell. The cell is the visible component, and what it's composed of? It is composed of polymeric substances. And polymeric substances are composed of, if I can trace back, it is composed of the monomeric units. So that is what the Ayurveda has said number of times. And now, when we come to a visible substance, what we call Ayurveda said is the Mahabhuta. Maha means big, and Bhuta means the first form of existence. Or in a more refined biological form, we can say it is a cell. It is a cell. So Ayurveda further classifies this Mahabhuta into 5 categories. That is Akasha, that is space or ether, Vayu, air, Tejas, this is the fire, Up, that is the water, and Prithvi, that is the earth or soil. So what they postulate, these 5 entities constitute the universe, and these 5 entities are very much present in the cell or are responsible for making a entity which is self-duplicating. Now, the Ayurvedic philosophy. So, before we discuss about the medicinal aspects of Ayurveda, it's very important to know what philosophy. I fear I'm not being able to show you the slides because there's a network issue. Still, I'm trying to show. No, the option is still not visible. We just go for the lecture itself. So
previously we can
what
able to see your
Ayurveda says.
Previously, we were able to see your screen. Yes, we can able to see your screen. We are fortunate. Thank you. Yes.
So no, but no, you can you see that I'm changing the slides?
Yeah.
My God, I don't know. I'm changing it from a standalone device. Anyway, that's very nice that you can see the slide. So unknowingly I'm doing the same. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this feedback. What is the Ayurvedic concept of philosophy? That is, what I said, the 5 elements which I have discussed before. The Ayurveda combines 5 elements in a very unique way. And forms 3 subsets, that is Vata, Pitta and Kapha. Vata means it's a combination of space plus air, or space and air. Pitta is the fire and Kapha is the water and earth. And so what do the Ayurveda presume or postulate? That this Vata, Pitta, Kapha is basically what I should say is an equilibrium. It requires to be in equilibrium for a healthy body. And all the disease or all the elements that is there is a result of imbalance of any one of them. Is an imbalance of any one of them. So very beautifully, the Ayurveda have classified the diseases also according to the imbalance of Vata, Pitta, Kapha, etc., etc. So they constitute the 3 dosha. So what are the 3 dosha? The Vata, Pitta and Kapha are the 3 doshas. And 3 dosha symbolizes the physico-biological properties. And all the diseases are somewhat the imbalance of the 3 doshas. Okay, and now I'll just discuss about the historical part of the Ayurveda. So from the gods to sages and to finally common people. So what does Ayurveda say? What we presume that, or what is found in the literature, that Ayurveda first originated with the gods and it was then passed on to the sages and finally from the sages to the common people, and now from generation on. And now I'll just brief up about what happened. So the history of Ayurveda, it is said that Lord Brahma, the Hindu god of creation, was the first to conceptualize Ayurveda. And he then transferred his knowledge to Daksha Prajapati, his son. And correspondingly to the Ashwini Kumaras, the twin gods, I think he is the god of the doctors in the heaven. And then the Indras, the king of God. And from Indras, they branched to, first time they branched to the humans. That is the Acharya Bharadwaj, Acharya Dhanvantari, and Acharya Kashyap. So till the Indras, And once this was taken over by the acharyas, it was taken over by the human beings for the first time. But still, they were the sages. And this acharya, and from there was a clear-cut demarcation. One is the physical aspect or the physician aspect, or the medicinal aspect, and another one is the, what I should say, the surgery part. So Acharya Bharadwaj was took care of the medicinal aspect, that's the non-surgical part, while the Dhanvantari was responsible for formulating all the surgical part of the Ayurveda. So from there the Atriyas and then a lot of other sages came, and finally the Charaka Samhitas were compiled in 1st century AD, and on the other case under the guidance of Dhanvantari and his corresponding disciples, the Sushruta Samhita, and Sushruta was the forerunner of these surgical procedures, etc., etc., and they were formulating the surgical part of the Ayurveda. And after that, I'll just go in, briefly about the Middle Ages. So what happened to the early Middle Ages? As we know, all the little Middle Ages were somewhat age of alchemy. There were a lot of scientists or a lot of investigators who believed in magics or black magics or some magic which would arise from chemical reactions or whatever, though they somewhat had some scientific knowledge base, but still they were very much interested on properties of chemical compounds. Along with, there were also some religious beliefs of tantras that somewhat gained dominance with respect to Ayurveda, though Ayurveda also maintained its parallel venture side by side, but the alchemies and tantras were very much there in the early Middle Ages. And in the late medieval age, what we find that in the Indian subcontinent there was continuous onslaughts of the Muslim invaders and various dynasties, and they had somewhat flourished the Unani concept. But somewhat they also were very respectful to Ayurveda. So in that case, in the medieval age, the Unani as well as the Ayurveda were very much running parallel to one another, and some Mughal emperors also patronized the Ayurveda along with Unani. And I mentioned very importantly the Delhi Sultanate as well as Akbar as well as this Jahangir also were a very good patron of Ayurveda. Okay, now coming to the colonial era. So what we find in the colonial era, maybe from 1600 onwards, I mentioned, it's very important to mention that the first modern medicines, though this is not Ayurveda, the first modern medicines were initially proposed in the Indian subcontinent by the Portuguese. At that time, from 1600 onwards, they were coming from the Europe for doing some business purpose, and eventually they got settled. The British were the dominant and got settled in our country. So they required some medical assistance. So the modern medicines were percolating gradually in the colonial Bengal, or especially in the colonial Bengal. But however, this Ayurvedic concept was very much existence, and in 1826 is very important one. The first classes of Ayurvedic medicine was conducted in one madrasa in Kolkata region as well as in Sanskrit college. And there the native people was some 20-30 native, I think 20 native people were given training of basic concepts of Ayurvedic medicines, though they were not trained with the surgery part, but still they gave some good lectures on the Ayurvedic medicine. But this did not continue for long, and due to gradual increase in populations of the Europeans felt that introduction of modern medicines was very much required, and though Ayurveda was way beyond its time, but somehow it got subdued, and by 1935 all these classes of Ayurveda in the Sanskrit college was closed, and this Calcutta Medical College was established in 1835, and from there we can see there is a flourishing of the allopathic system of medicines from then onwards. Now, what happened to Ayurveda at that time? Ayurveda was very much in existence. From 1857 onwards, there was a big turmoil, maybe you can say political turmoil, or the first fire of independent movement started from 1857. From there onwards, after 1857, this anti-British sentiment parallelly fueled the Ayurvedic concept in India. And by 1880s, there were some Vaidyas who took the initiative of popularizing Ayurveda. One of them is very, very important Pandit Shakardaji Padesastri. He is basically a Maharashtrian, and in 1883, he was the first to introduce Rajavaidya, a monthly magazine, which we can call it an analogous to a journal of Ayurveda. And back to back in 1888, he also introduced Arya Vishak. It's also a magazine or journal, whatever you say. And by 1907, he was the first to convene the All India Ayurvedic Congress. 24th May 1997, that took place in Nasik on the banks of Godavari, and correspondingly the next year there was a branch was opened in Allahabad. And seeing this, there is another person, Shahaji III Gaikwad. He was the king of Baroda at that time. He also took initiative to establish the Shahaji Rao Ayurveda Vidya in 1906, and most probably this institution now took the form, I don't think it's still there, the Ayurveda Institute is still there, but now it took the form of this MS University Baroda. It's under his initiative, it gradually flourished to the MS University, Baroda. And what happened in Kolkata or West Bengal was not far behind. In Calcutta, the Ayurvedic Institution and Pharmacy by Surendranath Goswami was established in 1905. And then Kaviraj Jamini Bhushan Roy also established their institution in 1916 and in 1921. So in these early 1900s, some institutions of Ayurveda were gradually getting established in Kolkata or in Bengal, and they were all fueled by the nationalist movements. And later on, what we find that also the Britishers felt that it is very much required for investigation of Ayurvedic concept along with a modern day medicine. So they also somewhat, if not directly but definitely indirectly, patronize those Ayurvedic institutions. Now I'll go to my second phase of the lecture, that is the use of herbs in Ayurveda. In this phase, I'll just go with some examples of the plants. That's very much important from Ayurvedic point of view, and why plants are important and why Ayurveda is relying on plants. Basically, Ayurveda is largely an Indian concept, or a concept that has originated from the Indian subcontinent. So that is one of the reasons why Ayurveda largely relies on plants. Though there are some formulations that requires animals, there are some formulations that also requires the chemical compounds also there, but still the base is of plants. So Ayurvedic medicine deals with three entities: plants, minerals, animals. But plants are very dominant. Why plants are very dominant? Because India is a biodiversity or a phytodiversity hotspot. India has got a number of phytodiversity region. One is the entire Himalayan region, the northeastern states, and this Western Ghats. They have a lot of endemic species. There are a lot of endemic species, and there are a lot of medicinal plants that are found only in those regions. So knowingly or unknowingly, the Ayurvedic concept thrived on those plants or on those resources, and gradually developed all its medicine. So we are having around 45,000 plant species. Out of that, some 15,000 are medicinal and used for curing diseases, 7,500, and out of that, some good 700 are enlisted in Ayurveda. And this enlisting is still continuing. So Ayurveda leads to a new drug discovery. This I'll try to explain in as simple form as possible how Ayurveda is used for drug discoveries. Basically, as I said before, that Ayurveda is basically a transfer of knowledge from sages to humans, and then through the generations, and then gradually through the generations, it is getting transferred. So till early 20th centuries, there was no real initiative to revalidate the concept of Ayurveda. It was all written in the literature, it was all written in the texts, and from there, the doctors or the Vaidyas, whatever may be there, they assumed that this plant, if it is consumed, may cure this disease. So in early 20th century, there was a very urgent requirement of revalidating this theory, this concept. Merely stating in a literature doesn't give its proof, authentic proof. So for an authentic proof, what we require an experimentation. So then onwards, the experimentation gradually started. So there are basically experimentation deals with the pharmacological aspect. We have two types of pharmacology. One is the conventional pharmacology and one is the reverse pharmacology. In conventional pharmacology, what we do, we design a molecule. Then we put it in an animal system to check whether this molecule is conferring protection to that animal or not, or to that very disease or not in an animal model. And then through a number of ethical processes, what we do, we then go for a trial in humans. And then we check at all this trial is effective or not. And but in reverse pharmacology, what we do, we gather the knowledge from the people or from the text. That is what is done in case of Ayurveda. In Ayurvedic concept, in reverse pharmacology, all the information that has been written in the literature has been gathered. Then the formulations, largely the plant formulations, were then experimented on mice or on rats or rabbits or whatever in an animal system. And then after that, it is trialed on humans. So this is reverse pharmacology. And a lot of, believe me, a lot of molecule has been investigated or discovered or isolated through the process of reverse pharmacology. So I just go with a few examples. And so I just cite examples of two stalwarts, Sir Ramnath Chopra and Sir Gananath Sen. They were the pioneers of reverse pharmacology. And now, what is reverse pharmacology? It's an assemblage of the traditional medicine, the modern medicine and modern science, and the confluence of Ayurveda. So these are the three molecules. I hope you can see. You can see gingerol, anethol, and eugenol. These are all molecules have been extracted from plants through the concept of reverse pharmacology. So during reverse pharmacology, gingerol, as for example, it's obtained largely from the ginger, as you can see the name, ginger. So what Ayurveda does, Ayurveda says that if you will just grind in ginger and take the decoction, it will protect you from cough and cold or whatever in other diseases. But what are the individual constituents, or what is the compound that is required for this action? That has been deciphered through this reverse pharmacology. So what they do, they put extracts or decoction, then they go for some chromatographic analysis to separate the compounds, and then they go for some mass spectrometry or other sophisticated instrumentations to find what is the actual compound. And then once they separate out the actual compound through chromatographic technique, then they put it on a model system or an experimental system to check its pharmacological efficacy. So same with anethol and eugenol. These are all alcoholic compounds or terpene alcohols, and they are all pharmacologically very much active, very much active. and I'll just go into details. And one of the most important plant, that's Rolfia serpentina. That is one of the first plant that has been deciphered through the process of reverse pharmacology. Rolfia serpentina is commonly called as Sarpagandha. That's very much available in our native West Bengal and even throughout India. It's very much available, and it's wonderfully illustrated in Ayurveda as well as in Unani system and other classical system of medicines. Also, it is very much illustrated. So what they found? They found a compound called reserpine. So reserpine was isolated from Rolfia serpentina, and it is helpful in sedation and lowering of blood pressure and a cooling action. And they have a mechanism of action. So they basically are monomer transporter blockage, and by that they give cooling or a soothing action on the nerves, and that helps the person to be relaxed or be comfortable or be comfortably tension-free. So this is one of the plants that has been investigated thoroughly through the process of reverse pharmacology. Another is phyllanthine, Phyllanthus niduri. This is a very common weed. This is a very common weed in West Bengal, and it is plenty even in Kolkata, in the wastelands, as well as I have seen them growing in the walls also, in the moist old walls also. And I visit some old trees. There also I found phyllanthine is it is an important antibiotic of extracted from Phyllanthus niduri. So it's a very important antiviral drug. And then the common curcuma, that is what we find is haludi or holud in Bengali, what we say as curcumin. And mark my point, is a very important drug, and it's anti-inflammatory. And this is very important. I discuss anti-inflammatory in my next phase of lecture. And its inhibition is lipoxygenase and cycloxygenase, and as well as these are big in the body function. But if imbalanced, the LOX, COX2, and phospholipase can be very detrimental to health. So it's an anti-inflammatory drug, curcumin, obtained from Curcuma longa. So they are all product of reverse pharmacology. So all this information have been pulled from literature, that is from Ayurveda, and then subjected to an experimental system, and its efficacy has been revalidated. You can get a lot of words about the anti-inflammatory action of Curcuma longa, that is common term. Now, another important, very common, we find it in our garden also, lack of ammonia. That is Brahmi. In Bengali we call Brahmi, and so we in a lot of Asian languages in Brahmi. So this is also very protective. It is the inhibition of Alzheimer's disease. So bacoside, that is the form that has been isolated. And this is Google's similar, it is for hepatitis. Just some on the slide. This is cordifolia. We find it in our common, very common in West Bengal. It's common in Bengal is called Uluncho, cordifolia, magnophyllum, inicolicide. All are immunomodulatory. I discuss immunomodulatory part in my explain. So is all present levels. And very much available, so available from Ayurveda. And I sometimes wonder why we are just focusing on the
Dr. Sinha, still we are Dr. Sinha, we are I think network is again issue. We can't able to hear you very clearly. Sorry.
Hello, am I right now? Hello.
No, your voice is breaking. Hello. Actually.
Hello.
Yeah. Now it's clear. Now it's clear.
Now it's clear. Yeah. Okay, I need to put the Wi-Fi on my hand now because it's net. because I am in such a place where the network has been a very compromising position. It's only some 5-6 kilometers from Orissa border, so it's very difficult for me to catch a proper internet.
Yes,
So
yes.
please
Now
bear
it's
with me. I
clear.
apologize for this.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
So
Yeah, clear.
I apologize for the unintentional inconvenience caused. Anyway, so I come back to Tinospora cordifolia, that is Guloncho, and it's very important immunomodulatory compound that is present here, and it's very relevant at present. Now, Withania somnifera ashwagandha, that is also an immunomodulator. I'll come back once again. Now, where we are heading. So we have discovered n number of compounds through reverse pharmacology. I have shown you only 5-6 of them. I wish I could have shown hundreds, but that would be somewhat boring. But anyway, we are heading ahead. Where we are heading? So drug discovery, Ayurveda and drug discovery. So I just cite some examples. I used to do my PhD in CSR, Indian Institute of Toxicology Research, and just in front of me was the Chattar Manjil Palace, and another historical structure done brilliantly built by the Nawab of Awadh, and that used to house the Central Drug Research Institute. And this is the pioneer institute of drug designing, drug discovery. And though the institute has shifted to a new building just on the right, the new building, but it has produced a number of drugs. Gugulipit from Combifera vitae, it's a cholesterol lowering. Then Consap is a contraceptive, and Reunion from Dalbergia sisu that somewhat gives protection from arthritis and osteoporosis. So CDRI is continuously working on invention of new drugs and drug design. Now, stressing on the importance of Ayurveda. Our government has established the Ayush on 2014, and this is an example of the screenshot of the Ayush, an Honorable Minister of State and Honorable Prime Minister, as well as an institute, Central Council for Research of Ayurvedic Sciences, and this Ayush has got a number of institutes in its purview all over India, and all are actively involved in Ayurvedic research, drug discovery of drugs, formulation of drugs, and safety evaluation of drugs. All of them are actively involved. And now a flip to traditional medicine. Of late, what we found that there has been an immense trust from modern day European or the allopathic medicine to a traditional medicine. And this is quite evident from the budget session of 2019 and 2020 and 2020-21. Some 1939 crore in last year and more than 2,000 crore in present year has been puffed off by the government for research and development in the field of Ayurveda, Ayush, Unani, Siddha, that is a traditional medicine. And in the global level also, there are billions that have been investigated. That has been invested for research in traditional medicine or herbal medicine. So people are gradually realizing that the traditional medicine has got immense potential. So why they're realizing? One possibility is that the conventional, that is the allopathic medicine, that are basically chemical compounds and that have a lot of side effects. Poses a lot of side effects, and if they are taken for a prolonged period of time, they can give a negative impact. Okay, they can reduce the fever, or they can control some other disease elements in some week or a month or whatever, but they have got definitely side effects. But what is the specialty of Ayurveda? Ayurveda, if consumed in 1 or 2 days, you may not get the effect, but it is definitely a very strong preventive medicine. If you go on consuming a little bit, suppose a little bit of turmeric in the morning will definitely give you an immunological boost, an anti-inflammatory boost. That is very important. So in this way, the Ayurveda or the traditional medicines are now gaining back its prominence, which has been lost for centuries. Which is lost for centuries in the Middle Ages, later Middle Ages, even in the Colonial Era, where it has been subdued by the Britishers or the Europeans, that is now gradually coming back. It's a very good sign. And now these are the key players. Am I visible? My slides are visible, hopefully. Hello?
Yes, yes. Yes, Dr. Sinha, yeah.
Yeah, so they are the key players for the Ayurvedic and as well as traditional medicine, Jandu, Dabur, and Patanjali, etc. Lot of other companies are there, and just projected a few of them. And now Ayurveda and inflammation. So this is my another phase. I just won't take more time. I think some 10 minutes are left still. Just go briefly. Ayurveda and inflammation. So what is inflammation? Inflammation is basically a reaction of the body. It is meant for protecting us against any disease or against any physiological imbalance. But if this inflammation goes beyond a certain level, it is then harmful. So inflammation is very harmful and is very relevant at present. I will tell you why. So these are the anti-inflammatory drugs. Ashwagandha, I just said before, this withanolide with luteferin, and then this Guduji Tinosphoria cordifolia. Once again, I just go into this Phyllanthus. This is Amloki. Phyllanthus embolica. It's a good source of ascorbic acid and a very good anti-inflammatory. It's a very efficient, potent anti-inflammatory agent. Then is Yashtimadu glycera is a glabra. It's also a very, very efficient anti-inflammatory agent. Then Asparagus racemosa, it has got n number of activities. That is Shatamuli. It's also very common in West Bengal. In very common, I think all over India it's very common. So it imparts immunity and anti-inflammatory. So immunomodulatory and anti-inflammatory, both of them. Why I'm just stressing on these two aspects, I just you will come to know a few minutes after. Then Talmeg, Andrographis paniculata, it also protects against inflammation, and it has also got a number of other activities also. And now, why? It's Ayurveda and COVID. Inflammation is one of the deadly symptoms of COVID. And all fatalities are likely to be due to inflammation. So that's why I was continuously telling that inflammation is very important at present. So you can see these are the screenshot of some of the updates. You can see inflammation, the key factor that explains vulnerability to severe COVID. I'll show you the citations after that. An international update, global 20,000 deaths, inflammatory syndrome in children, very, very critical. The children are also susceptible to inflammatory symptoms. So that is the reason why Ayurveda is very important. Ayurvedic anti-inflammatory drugs are very important. So most of the morbidities are due to this inflammation. I'll just go into details about how the inflammation occurs. So in this way, once you can see this virus is attacking the cells. So though it's a bit complicated, I just try to simplify. Once it is attacked, it is perceived by the cell. In the cell, there are certain red blood cells and white blood cells. So neutrophils, macrophages, and activated T cells, they gradually get activated and try to counteract the attack of the virus. And how they counteract? They secrete some compounds that ultimately leads to inflammation. They are called cytokines. So in this case, in COVID, the infection is so severe that this synthesis of cytokine goes outbound, and what the scientists term is a cytokine storm. Cytokines are certain molecules that are responsible for inflammations. That is the interleukins, tumor necrosis factor alpha. These are all falls into the category of cytokines, and all responsible for inflammation. Once you find that the cytokine level within the cell is outbound, they cause the acute respiratory distress syndrome. They gradually results in blockage of the alveolar passage of the lungs. So the patient gets difficulty in breathing, and once you are finding that the oxygen level is gradually depleting, that results in an anoxic condition and ultimately to death, as well as it hits all the tissue system. It hits all the tissue system. So tissue damage and finally death. So inflammation is very deadly under present circumstances. So another important key molecule is NF-kappa B. That's the molecule that is responsible. That is the, you can say that is the gangster of the inflammation. So what they trigger? The TNF alpha, bacteria, lipopolysaccharide, ionizing radiation, bacteria, lipopolysaccharide, all are from microorganisms. And another important factor, physical and chemical stress. So on one side, our lifestyle problem, and other side, microbiological attack from microvirus, bacteria, lipopolysaccharides, all results in activation of NF-kappa B. And what they do, once the NF-kappa B gets activated, they excite all the pro-inflammatory cytokines, and that ultimately leads to inflammation. And these are some causal agents. For instance, slides are all similar, these two slides. But what is important, just check on the left side. Consumption of alcohol, tobacco, grilled food. We are very fond of grilled food, these kebabs and etc. But they ultimately not only cause inflammation, but also another deadly symptom, that is causal agent of excessive oxidative stress. That is another important factor towards the occurrence of a number of diseases, and one of them is cancer. So I think we should all keep away from grilled food and high-fat diet, red meat, stress. So one side lifestyle disorder, another side attack from pathogen, all leads to inflammation. And presently we are all suffering from lifestyle disorder, and this global pandemic is bouncing on our head. So this inflammation is quite likely. So these are some compounds that directly inhibits inflammation. Berberine from Berberis aristata, bicolin from Acacia, Niluma nucifera, that's a very common plant throughout West Bengal. The camphorol is extracted from this plant, and these are some plants that all are anti-inflammatory: embalan, thymoquinone, chibukalic acid, Tamilia chibua, Nigella sativa, and embryolioids. Most importantly, gingerol. I said gingerol is very important. Gingerol is an NF-kappa B and COX-2 inhibitor. And Tunica granatum is pomegranate. So it's very important that one should consume this ginger, pomegranate, and any other fruits. Fruits are very important anti-inflammatory and antioxidants. So both confer protection against not only viral attack, bacterial attack, but also an oxidative stress that is very much present in most of the population at present, due to their stress, due to their what I should say, altered lifestyle disorder. They all suffer from from oxidative stress. So clinical trials. So Department of Ayush is also not lagging in the clinical trials. So I just put one of the example. Ayush 34 is one of the combination that has been put in the clinical trial, and that is logged in the CTRI. That is the Clinical Trial Register of India. If you log into the CTRI website, you can see good number of 39 medical trials have been performed till date with Ayurvedic formulations. With Ayurvedic formulation, a good 39 trials have been put since March. And this is Tab Ayush. Its a composition is Alstonia scholaris, that is Saptaporni, and in Bengal what we call as Chatim, then Pictorhiza Kurua, etc., etc. Then another one is Augusta Haritaki Churna powder that has also been investigated as an antimicrobial, as an anti-inflammatory, etc. And Untitled, it's actually this is a composition of good some 25 or 27 plants. This is a brainchild of this Baba Ramdev organization, and they have really put a big effort in proving that this Anutaila is having an anti-COVID activity, and have succeeded to a certain extent also. And these are some publication, very recent publication that has been done exclusively based on Ayurvedic formulation. And the second one, the below the publication which I'm showing, is a case report where a person has been successfully treated with the help of Ayurveda. And these are the references that has been accessed. And I am through with my presentation. Hope you had liked it. And now I put myself back to the honorable moderator for any comments or any feedback on your question.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful presentation. Yes, I must say, because it's very important to know about our ancient culture, first of all, and ancient technology and science. Because India is so rich, I believe that we are self-sufficient enough to prove our own eligibility in terms of the contemporary crisis in COVID-19 to battle back. Thank you so much, Dr. Dwaipayan Sinha, for this wonderful explanation with all of information that we actually needed for. So I request Dr. Sinha to please bring back with your video, because the audience would really like to see you, first of all.
Okay. I'll just try, because the network issue is a big problem here.
You can stop your presentation. You can stop your presentation, so your network will be okay.
Okay, I just disconnect my presentation.
Yeah. Just stop your presentation. And
yes, am I?
Yes. Yeah.
Can you see me right now?
No, not yet.
But I have turned on my camera.
Okay. So we have a wonderful, yes, now we can able to see you. First of all, thank you so much, sir. And we have wonderful feedback from the audience. I have already received the feedback for most of them already submitted.
Thank you so much.
And they are very happy with your presentation. So thank you so much, and congratulations, first of all. And
thank you so much.
Because it's very important topic to discuss, you know, and this particular session will be in our YouTube channel, and I hopeful that people from around the world, they will definitely provide some feedback on this particular webinar, because India is always a center of attraction all the time, you know, from the previous era until now. With this particular presentation, we can able to show our own eligibility in front of the so-called westernized, that we used to say that they're the best and we are always trying to mimicry in them. So we will prove ourselves that what we have actually, and I think rest of the world actually following nowadays Ayurveda, and you can able to say, please comment on that. I'm really willing to know that how the entire world is actually following Ayurveda, and we are trying to just forget about our own culture.
I wish I could have shared the figures with you. So far as European countries are concerned, last I saw around 53% has already shifted to traditional, if not Ayurveda, but definitely herbal medicine. And very importantly, presently, you can check in the Google, or I can also share some papers with you. In China, they are treating the COVID patients with their Chinese herbal medicine. That is strikingly similar to the Ayurveda. So we are already percolating to their minds, to the Western worlds. And our country, our India, our honorable government is gradually increasing its stress for traditional system of medicine. So that's very important, and I'll definitely love to share some figures about whatever you said. It's presently not with me, but definitely I'll share what percentage of people are now relying on Ayurveda. Figures are definitely there. I'll do that.
Definitely, that's really wonderful. Once I will prepare the YouTube link, and it will be on YouTube. What you can do, you just share the link, so I can put in the YouTube link only, so they can just tally with your presentation and the link you will provide. So we are almost at the end of the discussions. We don't have any such questions from the audience, but for my sake, I have one question to you. That
yes, please.
how Ayurveda is important, that we all know. But what were the main causes that we don't actually believe very particularly, and we don't trust Ayurveda anymore? Why? What was the main reason for behind this?
Ma'am, I think there are certain reasons behind that. I just wish to go for a psychological reason. Because we are accustomed to such a psychology that if we don't pay handsomely, the result is not that important. That is one of the biggest psychological drawbacks of at least of our country. So we are ready to pay lakhs behind this modern day medicine, though I don't have any disrespect for any type of medicine. Definitely they are important, definitely Ayurveda is important. But maybe Ayurveda is comparatively cheap and plentifully available. So we don't appreciate its importance. Number one. Number two, as I said, that till early 1900, there was a lack of validation of the experiments or whatever that is stated in the literature. From 1960s, we have started with the Ayurvedic literature and have got totally positive response. So I am quite hopeful in next 10, 15 years or 20 years, people will understand the importance of Ayurveda, and most probably the Ayurvedic formulations will gradually enhance its market. Though it's still there, it's there in it, but the popularity as well as in our mindset also, it will mark its presence.
Thank you so much. Yes, I also support you, and I think the next thing, it could be like we don't trust in our own culture. Actually, we always
that is important. That's most important.
The lack of belief in our own self, our own identity. That is one of the major issues that is been emerged within the Indian circumstances and the Indian people. That we always trying to trying to copy paste with the others' cultures morally. So I don't have any problem with the other culture, but how about our own self? How about our own identity? How about our own existing technology, existing science? So let's merge together. Yes, let's merge together. Let's believe in Ayurveda that we have already in our culture, in our own tradition. And let's accept the Western as well. So I think the merge of Western and Indian ideology is the miraculous power to
that would create a wonder. That would create wonder.
That will create wonder.
Yes.
Thank you so much, sir, for this wonderful session.
Welcome.
And it's my greatest opportunity to hear you. Finally, because you are the first person, you were from the beginning of the web platform for dialogue for the very long time, and thank you so much. Thank you very much, sir. Have a wonderful evening, and definitely in other day we will have another discussions on the continuation of our journey with Ayurveda.
Okay, sure.
Definitely.
Okay, sure.
Thank you so much. Bye bye, sir.
Bye bye.